Hi, this is Valentina Bellucci, and you are listening to Tanya Tate presents Skinfluencer Success podcast.
This is Tanya Tate, Skinfluencer Success. You are listening to Tanya Tate presents Skinfluencer Success. How can you start your own production company from the ground up? My guest is an adult performer from Europe who did just that. She started her own independent studio, Step House XXX, which went on to become an AVN nominated studio. Welcome, Valentina Bellucci, to the Skinfluencer Success podcast.
Hi, Tanya. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Thank you so much for coming on. It's so lovely to have you.
Of course.
Yes.
My
And
pleasure.
yeah, thank you. And I want to start off by asking, can you introduce yourself? Who is Valentina Bellucci and how did you get started in the adult industry?
I'm definitely known to my fans as an adult performer, but I would say that this is just like one side of me. I have many sides. I put myself in many roles in my life. So, of course, some of them I'm going to keep just for myself, but for my fans, just so they know, I'm an art lover, animal lover, nature, and all the sports possible enthusiast, and a traveler also. Oh, and I don't know if I mentioned that I'm a jewelry maker as well. So just a couple of things I wanted to outline for you guys and for you, Tanya.
Nice. So I love all this. There's a lot of different interests. So you are a performer. So how did you get started? How did you first become a performer?
Well, it's been I would say 3 years since I started my journey, so it's all still fresh. Um, I would say that everything happened around when COVID hit, and I started working from home. I had a little more time to think, to recharge the batteries, and reset my mind and think about like other possibilities because I used to have a full time job. And my husband and I, we used to be in swingers world, and we're pretty open minded and sexually open, and always willing to explore farther. So since we had a little bit of extra time, we gave it a try and we started recording ourselves, and posting it on Pornhub and other sites. And boom, it clicked. Actually, the first two videos that we made together, they hit up like 10 million views, and that was a big success for me. I was like so shocked. What's going on? I wasn't, ready for this. So pretty interesting and intense start for sure.
Nice. So I like that you made a video of yourself and your husband and you put it up on Pornhub.
Yeah.
And how many millions of views did it get?
See, I remember I was like counting first million, second one, third. Then I don't even know what's the number now, but I believe I stopped counting at like 10 million views, and
Wow.
that was very satisfying. And everyone started like identifying me with a stepmom, which I don't necessarily like would put myself in that role, but I know how popular it is, and I why not? I can perform different styles, different roles. That's what it's great about porn, different forms of expression. So this is kind of cool.
So you put up one video, so then you started, you saw the stats, like the views racking up. So is that when you decided to kind of start putting more content of yourself and your husband on?
You know what? I started posting more solo content and content with my husband, of course. So we started like together, just me and him. Plus, I was also I was actually taking a baby steps, because I decided to start with fetish first. Especially that I used to live in Tampa back then, and Tampa is a fetish capital, fetish industry, So I had a way more opportunities basically to work in this field. However, it was also good for me because that gave me some room to think about like other things, what I want to do after that, or if I want to do it at all, right? So that was very helpful too, because I was a little hesitant in the beginning. It wasn't that I joined the industry and oh boom, all in. No, I was actually a little shy person in the past. So I guess that was good for myself too, just to take it easy, take it slow.
Yeah. So it's taking those baby steps and putting the movies on Pornhub and starting to move forward. Now you just mentioned something about stepmom. Is that was that coming from the feedback from all these new fans that you suddenly were watching your content?
Yes, actually, that's part of it. My fans, they wanted more. They wanted more role playing. I thought I was talking a lot, during the scene, but the feedback surprised me. Suddenly, they want more talking, more like family dirty talk. I'm like, okay, let's do this. So that challenged me a little bit too, and also it's just super popular nowadays. So I know fans are looking for this type of content, but I don't like to do just one genre, one thing. I wanna, spice it up with some like nice and other content. So for example, we like to shoot parodies, we like to shoot very romantic, like old style movies, so back to the past, so to speak. That's what I'm saying. So that's the
Yeah.
expectation, to basically run the taboo studio. I like to spice it up with different types of genres.
So you mentioned Taboo Studio. I like to take it steps because you know all about you, but people that are listening might be like,
Mhm.
hold on, she went from Pornhub to studio. It's like, how did she get there? So
Right.
you started putting the content on. It was yourself. It was solo. It was with your husband.
Mhm.
So at what point did you decide to did that organically evolve into your studio, or did you make certain steps to say, hey, we're going to start a studio?
I would say that I think it started with the fact that myself and my husband were both creative in many ways, and we used to be, behind the camera in the past, with other projects that we've been doing. So, and I think that I have a leader type of personality, and so does my husband. But we like to take that extra step to basically and reach out other goals, not only, and so with that, I just wanted to be not only in front of the camera but also behind the camera, and be able to, to manage the bigger project, right? To look at it as a bigger picture, as an art, and just create something beautiful, because I consider porn to be an art. So, it's just another step that I wanted to take. I started, meeting all the great people from the industry, making some connections, and yeah, and I was like, why don't we give it a try? I was thinking it's like a huge investment in terms of, for example, equipment, but nowadays you can definitely limit the costs by just, making smart decisions, right? And it just evolved, step by step. We started, working with people that I already knew from the industry, that I got a chance to collaborate, and we are where we are right now.
Yeah, so you decided that you wanted to be a little bit more behind the camera, behind the production. So
As well,
you
yeah.
networked and you reached out and you made connections with other people in the adult industry, and that's when you kind of started setting up collaborations.
Yeah.
Um, and so were you then putting these on Pornhub, or did you decide to start a website?
I randomly came up with the name of our site, Step House XXX, right? And I told my husband, hey, let's just name it Step House XXX, and yeah, and let's create something from scratch, something new, right? Aside of what is going on, with my image in the industry, right? Of course, I do perform, and a lot of my videos are on Step House XXX, but I don't want it to be like only me, only about me. It's proportionally, it's kept proportionally when it comes to other talent as well. So yeah, so that's what we have right now. Mhm.
Yeah, so you've got different talent. It's not just all about you on
Correct.
the
That was the
production house.
goal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so at the time, when you started this studio, you said, you wasn't so well known because you were quite new. So what challenges did you discover as, as a non-experienced performer?
Hmm. Yeah, totally. The main challenge was determining whether people you work with are trustworthy or people you can make business, right? Because I was new, so was my husband. So we were like, we're still meeting and getting to know all the new people from the industry. However, it's just tricky because when you don't have those connections, it's hard to build something from scratch when there are so many other studios, so many other male talent, female talent, right? So it's just hard for the newbie to basically find herself in the world like this. So this is, I find this pretty challenging, to be honest with you. But world is yours. You just have to believe, right? And just be positive about the things, positive, consistent, determined. That's how I was, to overcome those challenges. And I still try, I still try to be better, to be in a better place. So it's a long journey and a lot of work, on the way.
Yeah. And I get that. It's like, for me, it's different because I'm so established. I've been in the industry for quite a long time, just got Hall of Fame at Exarcio. So
Oh,
it's
that's
like,
awesome.
thank you.
Congrats.
I'm so excited about that.
I
So
know.
yeah, so for me, I can kind of look out and I can see people, and I'll be like, okay, if I want to like look for a guy to collaborate with, I might ask some of my girlfriends and be like, hey, have you worked with this guy? Is he reliable? Is he a good person? Is he professional? Is he going to turn up? So you can kind of vet them based on the
Yeah.
experience that your friends have had with that person.
Mhm.
But if you're going from something totally brand new and you're like, okay, well, this person looks like they might be good to collaborate with, but how do you know if, you know, how professional and reliable they're going to be? And
That's a good question. Luckily, I had friends that they were swingers too, and they were in the industry too. So that was such a huge help, of course, because I was able to kind of vet people through them, through like recommendation process. So I was trying to reach out to them and just check if they know anything, and they were like, oh, maybe if they didn't know, they send me to someone that knew. So it's
yeah,
kind of there is always someone who knows someone, but you got to know somebody, at least one person, because otherwise it's challenging, it's hard, and you can easily get yourself in trouble. And
yeah.
obviously there are some situations important we all want to avoid, right? And they're still happening, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's like finding the right people, isn't it? And I like, you had your friends that were they were swingers that were already in the industry, and it's like, are they okay?
Yeah.
Are they legitimate people? But it's trying to like find someone. For me, many years ago, I used to do like a casting couch. So it would be like brand new guys would come and try out and see if they were any good. And it was like, are they going to turn up? Are they going to be in full working order? You just never
Yeah.
knew. So
Right.
I made it so the series was, well, if they were not very good performing, it was
Yeah.
okay because we were trying them. So I kind of made the scenario fit, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there was another time when I had a girl who was a female follower, and she was so cute, and she would be like really nice, and she would like comment on stuff. I got to know her a little bit more just on regular social media, and
Uh-huh.
I would cast for movies. I used to do a lot of movies for a company called Philly Films, and it was lesbian family affair, and so I would cast a lot of women for the role. And
Hmm.
so I said to her, oh, actually, it was a Tanya Tate's Babysitting Academy. And so it's
Oh, what a
yeah,
lovely name.
Tiny
I
Tate's
like that.
Babysitting Academy, and I was just like, I could find the perfect role for you, if you want to try it. And I literally, she did her first movie with me, and
Really?
it was like is it touch and go? Is she going to turn up? Is it going to be good? Is it, this is now she's really, she's really in. And so these are a lot of challenges, aren't there? It's like, you're getting another performer that you're working with. There's a lot of things that you've got to do. You've got to get tested. You've got to, make sure that test is legit. There's the wardrobe, there's the location, there's so many things that
Yeah.
you got to work towards. And I know you deal with all that as well, being the small studio.
Yeah, it's a lot, and it's usually I'm either directing or taking care of like everything. So I would consider myself we take turns with my husband. I like to direct, but or and be behind the camera as well. But at other times I just want to focus because I do it regardless. So I like to like nitpick on things because I'm a perfectionist. So everything needs to look nice before the scene, and so I'm just making sure that there, like we did before, there is no extra noise, that there is that the place is clean, basically everything looks good, the bed sheets and the makeup, and everything needs to look good basically. And the
Yeah.
light, most importantly the light, because I'm crazy about light.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets a little frustrating if you're such a if you want to be perfect in everything. It's unfortunately you got to let it go sometimes because it's not going to happen. There are always situations, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, however, speaking about, I think that we also have a camera person, so 3 or 4 people, it makes it a good team, and I think we have
Yeah.
everything under control. We're doing pretty good. And nowadays, the good thing, which also let other people start the production more like easier than before, I was gonna say, is that you don't have to buy super expensive equipment, so it's more like affordable, right? So this is not a no-go if you want to start nowadays, right? So that was something that helped me too, because we didn't have big budgets when we were starting. But yeah, that's great, the technology.
It's
And
changed. So talk to me, Valentina. When you initially started off, and it was yourself and your husband, and you decided to make that first movie, how has your equipment progressed from then to where it is now?
did invested in like better equipment, of course, yeah. But there were times when we just record with, and there are times when we record with our iPhones. So
Yeah.
iPhone has amazing quality nowadays, and there are two teams: iPhone team and anti-iPhone team. I'm in iPhone team because I love how great quality, iPhone.
iPhone.
And also, I do everything on my phone, so it just makes it easier. I record, I save it in my Dropbox, everything is in my
Yeah.
phone, email. So we're basically attached to our phones nowadays. I'm not saying it's good, it's very bad, but I'm trying to fight with that and just do those breaks. Yeah, but it's just times
Yeah.
we live in nowadays.
Yeah, the equipment's become so advanced. I remember years ago when I started performing, it was like in 2008. And I can
Mhm.
remember like I'd like hire people to do the camera. And when I look
Mhm.
back now at like the camera, I'm just like, oh my goodness, it was like
Yeah.
the quality was so
Yep.
poor and the light was
Yep.
so, and then I go and do something on my iPhone now with like
Mhm.
this. I've just got a ring light on now, but if I was shooting a movie, I would make sure, I have some nice bright lights and just put the iPhone. And I'm like, such a
Yeah.
difference in, you can still get really good high quality footage just
Totally.
by using
Yeah.
an iPhone.
Of course. And there are times when you don't have your equipment with you, right? But you still have your iPhone, so you can just record everything. My
Just,
friend taught me that wherever you are, whatever you do, just start recording, because that can be attractive to your fans, just to see simple things, like just everyday things that you do, right? You're
yeah.
cooking, you're cleaning, you're calling your friend, right? And there can be some action to it. Plus what comes to my mind right now is the new genre. How is it called? Oh my gosh. See, um oh my gosh, it's just I completely forgot the genre name, but basically, the goal is to not to be present in the momentum, right? So you are in a situation of, like, let's say, cooking or doing whatever, studying, working, and here comes the guy and fucks you, right? And you don't react. You just he's not recognized at the moment. So this is the genre, the new genre, that people like
Oh wow.
apparently are interested in. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a better look.
Do you know there's a lot of genres and a lot of different people like different things. That's a new one
Hmm.
on me, where there's action taking place with
Hmm.
one person and then the other person is not acknowledging the action. That for me, I've I don't think I've ever done anything like that. I've probably done stuff where I've spoken or I've like because
Yeah.
sometimes like the guy watching wants to be ignored or something like that. That's but never with there's a collaboration where one is totally
Mhm.
oblivious.
It's hard because it's just hard not to respond, and not to react. Or sometimes when something funny happens, it's just hard to not to laugh. Right?
Like I want to laugh. I'd be like one to laugh. Oh my goodness.
Imagine watching behind the scenes from something like that.
Do you know
That's a
it's very interesting though, isn't it? Because a lot of people like different things, and
yeah,
it's there's different shapes, there's different sizes, there's different ages. You know,
dangerous.
for me, I'm a MILF. I'm a real MILF. I'm a 12-time MILF of the Year winner, and for me, like that's a niche, that's a market that I work with.
Yeah.
So, you with like a lot of the stepmom, it's like, we fit that MILF market.
Hmm.
But for people that are listening, what would you say to people, that think, oh, I'm not going to be any good on camera, or I'm not going to get any fans if I go on camera? What would you say to people?
Basically, I do think that porn is very uplifting when it comes to women of all ages, colors, shapes, whatever, you name it. Because fans they will always find something they can relate to, and that's what they want to see. They want to see someone who looks like their neighbor, because that's what's turning their on. There will always be that resemblance, and I think that everyone has a big, big chance to become a porn star, whether it's a woman or, of course, or a guy as well. uh, just because we're all different, our needs are different, our fantasies are different, so everyone can fit in it. It's very uplifting, and in my opinion, it can give you a lot of validation, a lot of confidence, so it's a boost for a lot of things, and I like that aspect of porn, especially when it comes to women. you
Yeah.
know um, all the instances that I've seen, never it was actually always very, very beneficial to the ladies who I know who joined the industry, in many ways. Yeah.
It is, and it's so true. Like there's somebody that is going to want to see the content that you're going to produce. And
Hmm.
if you produce that content and people start giving you feedback, or you can see financial numbers start increasing or views start changing, then that that's something that people are going to watch. So in
Right.
terms of like producing your own content, you're going to produce what your fans are going to work towards. So you're right, it doesn't matter your age, anything. There's always, as long as you have I always think to get on camera, as long as you have confidence in yourself and you're willing to get out there and to like really enjoy
Yeah.
yourself.
And you just gotta be, you can't get discouraged easily, no matter what people say, because there will be people that who would like to, they're not gonna give you a hand, they're gonna discourage you, they're gonna tell you that you're gonna fail. So don't listen to them. Just do your thing, and don't give up until you get the things done, or at least try. So even if you're gonna fail, but then you will be able to look in the mirror and tell yourself that, hey, I've done everything I could, right? I wasn't able to reach the goal, but I tried, but a lot of people, they give up, at the early stage. So unfortunately they fail, but they fail because of of themselves,
Don't
of their bad
they don't
decisions they make
yeah, don't always
sometimes.
trust in themselves or believe in themselves.
Yeah.
And when it comes to like a small studio, like what are some of the misconceptions about starting your own studio?
You know what? I think that the misconception was probably the equipment thing that I've already told you about in the beginning. I thought that to start a the studio, not a big one, you have to start somewhere, of course. You have to invest, right? You have to invest in the equipment. However, when we started, we didn't have to. So, I mean, we didn't have to. We didn't want to, and we just wanted to see if the iPhone would do, basically, and it did. It did
Yeah,
pretty well. So that's something that I think it's very, very optimistic, because if you really want, you can just start your business with just small tools, right? Try to develop it a little bit, and then you will reach for the bigger tools, right? So you
yeah,
can evolve further,
yeah. Your content, it's you have the website and it's on Pornhub, but what are some of the other platforms that you use for for, for your content to be posted on?
So I use X videos. I use, of course, Pornhub, Manyvids. What else I use? And of course, I post content on my OnlyFans. So that's a pretty important promotional tool. And there is stuff on my OnlyFans which is just exclusive for my OnlyFans, and I just basically keep it there. So yeah, I think these are the major ones, the major
Yeah.
players. Yeah.
And I remember
Oh,
that
I'm
when we
sorry. And the website. And I totally forgot. And the website, the Step House website.
yeah, of course. I remember when we first met Valentina, and I was in Vegas, and I was hosting red carpet interviews for Adult Empire, and I can
Yeah.
remember, I'm doing the interviews, so I'm kind of focusing on who's coming, and then when you came along with your son, you're like, oh, we gotta get it, and I was like,
I
okay.
know. I was overly excited and not stressed at the same time. Probably it was the stress and like another type of excitement. But I was a little bit stressed out, just because, we were being pulled out in so many directions. It was my first AVN show, so, and the nomination and all the interviews. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bit, challenging, overwhelming at times, but I enjoyed it a lot. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it so much.
That's good. So, like the AVN, if anyone that's wondering, it's the one of the big award shows that takes place in the adult industry, and it's quite prestigious to be nominated. And your studio was nominated.
Yes, we were nominated in the category of new production, so basically new studio. And I didn't know in the beginning, because the list is very long, and I when my husband and I, we've gone through the list, when it was, announced, and I didn't see myself there. So I'm like, okay, no problem, I just started. I still consider myself new, but I didn't find the studio either, on the list. So after like 10 minutes or so, our camera girl calls, and she's like, hey guys, do you know you got nominated? I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? So we basically found out this way. I was so excited, so proud, and I'm not gonna lie, this was a big achievement. We didn't win, of course, but it was such a recognition
Yeah,
that we were there, and we were still relatively new studio. So I'm really grateful
yeah.
for that recognition. It felt amazing.
Yeah, it's such a big achievement, isn't it? To
Yeah. Yeah.
there's a lot of people that are starting off, and it's not the easiest. You got to navigate the ways around, and then make sure that you are being seen by the right companies. But it's a big achievement for you that the people that do the voting, like the
Yeah.
industry experts, if you like, they looked at your studio and they said, yes, you deserve to be in there. So
That was amazing. I think that what what's good about our studio is that we offer a variety, when it comes to different things, right? Like I said, we offer a variety of genres, with a focus on on the taboo side, of course, but
yeah,
also we offer fans, a variety of performers, right? From young to older ones, from performers of different shapes, different age groups, colors, everything, so I think everyone can find something they relate to. So
yeah,
that's the key to our small success, a
yeah.
milestone that we achieve. Yeah,
It's
I think.
find and it's I want to talk about, it's difficult being in the adult industry because sometimes I think it really can overwhelm you. We work from home, we're small business people, entrepreneurs, we run our own schedule, and sometimes you got to take time out. So what do you do for self-care, and how do you manage your work-life balance?
Yeah, this is important thing that you just brought up. You gotta have work-life balance. You gotta have moments when you're basically detached from porn and from your porn reality, even from your porn friends. They're great, but also you don't want to like narrow yourself down to one, you know, one group of people, right, with common interest. However, the good thing is that a lot of us, I mean, porn connects us, right? But we do have a lot of hobbies, a lot of passions, right? A lot of
Mm,
interests. So when we, of course, we don't share things like that all the time, and sometimes people want to focus on work only. But if you hang out with some people, sometimes you get to know so many interesting facts about them, and you can explore work together, not only in porn field but also in other fields. But sorry, I kind of moved to another topic, but to coming back to where we started. What I do, so to manage stress and to manage work life balance, I like to be in the nature for sure. I like to be surrounded by nature, by animals. I like to hide myself in mountains sometimes. I do practice sports. I love skiing. I love we do like to spend time with my husband in the nature and just chill for a couple of days in national parks,
nice.
and things, and do things of that nature. I also do I make my jewelry. This is something that connects me to the nature and just helps
Your
me find
bracelet.
sense. Yeah. So I do those things as well. Yeah, or I can just simply go to the farm and socialize with alpacas, which was which I did last time, and it was fun there.
Oh,
So those kind of things, yeah. Yeah, I definitely need to feel that connection with the nature at times. That helps me to recharge and reset my mind a little bit when it gets to the point that you just can't.
yeah,
You're over it. But that helps you recharge, and then you come back stronger. You have more power, more strength to be able to deal with everything.
yeah,
Because there will always be challenges. You just have to set your mind for it, in a
yeah.
good way.
Definitely, just taking that time away from work, and
Yeah.
it is good. And I think that was one of the mistakes that I made when I was first in the
Mhm.
industry. I didn't seem to take any time away. Everything was work, 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 and at some point, like you forget you're the persona on the screen, and
Yeah.
to like I'm like, oh no, I'm me. I'm me. Sometimes you have to remind yourself. It's different now because I don't work as much and I have a family. I have a little boy. He's 5, and he keeps me super busy. But it's good to like for us to recognize to let others know that you do need to take time out. You know.
Of
Um,
course. Yeah.
and your accent, I know you're European. But where about you from, Valentina?
Originally from Italy, but I used to live in different countries in Europe, so I have friends and family all over. I moved to States like 15 years ago or so, so yeah,
Yeah,
time flies. But I still consider myself more European, because it's just 15 years. It's not like even half of my life. It's just 15 years still, for me.
yeah.
So I'm adapted. However, I'm still adapting in some ways, because obviously there will be differences, right? Especially, in the way of in the perception of the world between Americans and Europeans, so and
Yeah.
in the perception of porn too, because that's a little different too.
So what is the difference, would you say, between European adult work and American adult work?
It's hard for me to answer that question. I can tell you from the perspective as a viewer, but not as a producer or the participant, because I did talk to some producers, but unfortunately I didn't have a chance to shoot anything in Europe, because that was around COVID, I believe, when I
Yeah.
was supposed to go, and then there were all the restrictions and stuff, so I couldn't push it back in time a little bit. But I spoke with some people, and I do look forward to shooting in Europe, just because I want to see how it works there, right? From many many perspectives. But as a viewer, I think that their porn is sometimes it's a little like more organic. You know what I'm saying? It looks more like an old porn, but it can also get a little more intense at times. I haven't seen some of the content here in the United States. What I didn't I mean, I didn't see this content, but I've heard from like other people from the industry that they can go a little intense, sometimes too intense. So this is not something that I would feel comfortable either participating or watching. But again, it's pretty organic, and you don't. In Europe, they don't really want to make it look like a fairy tale, and people are not that perfect, like here in the United States, So they, what I'm trying to say, they look more like an ordinary people, just to fulfill the fantasies, that just the simple fantasies, right? And here, like a lot of women, they look like princesses. They are like, they were wearing full makeup and all that stuff, right? But like my goal is to incorporate a little bit of like organic, so you don't necessarily need to wear that makeup. You just act like like a typical Karen, not to offend anybody. But you know what I'm trying to say, right?
like
Just
like
because that's what people fantasize of.
yeah, like a regular person that you could like pick up in
Yeah,
the supermarket or
I want to show the imperfections as well.
yeah.
Sometimes the porn world in United States, it's a little bit too perfect for me, and in Europe it's just
Mm.
kind of more real sometimes. So those two aspects are important for me to cultivate here.
Yeah, no,
Sorry, I
that's
interrupted you.
no, that's some really good points. I remember I used to get asked that question a lot because I started off in the UK um,
Right.
in 2008, and I eventually moved to America in 2010. And I did shoot some scenes in. You're European, so you're gonna laugh in Europe.
Yeah.
It's so funny for a British person to be like, "Yeah, I'm from the UK," and then we go and shoot in Europe. You're like, it's
Yeah.
part
Right.
of the same country, but coming from the UK, people that are sitting in the UK that are listening or watching to this be like, we know what she's talking about. When you're in the UK,
Yeah.
you kind of go, I'm from the UK, and then there's Europe, but
Yeah.
what you mean, there's mainland Europe, and the cultures are
Yeah.
kind of slightly, they are slightly different, between
Yeah.
the UK and Europe, the mainland Europe. But for me, I
Yeah.
get asked that question a lot, and I get where you're coming from. There was seemed to be a lot more bigger budgets in America, and so
Right.
it was more glamorous. And you'd be like, oh, the
Right.
mansions, and whereas in like the UK or Europe, it was even when I look back on the content that I produced,
Hmm.
or I was in, it was like a lot of it was like it seemed to be smaller, like on a
Yeah.
more of a lower cost basis.
Right.
That, but I guess things change. But um,
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's still whatever our fans like is what we're going to produce for them.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and whatever makes sense financially for us as well as performers.
Add that bullet to the misconception, that you don't have to like put too much money, because you don't have to invest in props, in wardrobe, right, or equipment. I forgot to add those 2 points to the topic, right, because I was referring to equipment. But what about the clothes, the all the basically the you don't need to look for very expensive locations, right? You can do it like straight from your house, or
Yeah.
just try to rent something out. I mean, that's unfortunately prices went up nowadays, but you
Mhm.
can still try to fit in within smaller budget.
So, Valentina, I want to ask, in a sentence, what advice would you give to someone who's wanting to start their own production studio?
Just do you believe in yourself. It's not always about money. You don't have to put in a lot of money to start with. You just give it a try and take a baby steps, even if you don't have a lot of money. If you do, that's even better. But first of all, money is not everything. You got to be determined, you got to be consistent, and don't let yourself get discouraged by other people who might be wanting you to fail because they're simply jealous, right? So yeah, just determination and consistency, and positive thinking, right? But also try to do whoever is, whether uh, director, studio owner, of a performer. What I would recommend, if you're in the industry, do some breaks. Do some breaks, recharge yourself, recharge your mind, because at some point you might get crazy. Because it's just too much. It can get to the point that you might be emotionally drained or just overwhelmed in general. So do the breaks, connect with the nature, or do whatever you love to do. Don't forget about it. Don't forget, like you said, who you are, because it's easy to forget, especially if you're in that role for a long time,
Yeah.
straight. So you got to remind yourself that some of us, we are moms, we also have friends, so we are girlfriends, and so many other roles.
Yeah. No, I like that. Well, thank you, Valentina Bellucci. Where can everybody find you online?
My fans can find me on Twitter. I use Twitter as a communication tool with producers and people from more industry more often than talking to the fans, just because it's hard. So I send all my fans to OnlyFans.
Yeah.
So all the fans, don't get mad. I can't. I'm not able to respond to you guys there. But OnlyFans, yeah, I'm talking to you all there, my loves.
Yes.
And also Pornhub, Menavits, X videos, and most importantly, Step House XXX. You guys know this is my studio, and you can also find some of my content there.
So thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you
you,
for
Tanya. It
coming
was a
on.
pleasure being featured
Oh,
in your podcast.
thank you. It's a pleasure having you.
This is Tanya Tate, Skinfluencer Success. Visualize your success. Build your brand.